The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And away we grow. Welcome everyone to the show. So glad you could make it. This is the Green Acres Garden Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Jordan, resident plant lover, back in studio for another banger of an episode. We have a great guest this week to share with you. But before we do that, let's check in with my co-host. Ladies, he's fully employed, he's handsome, and he's single. Austin Blank. How's it going there, Austin?
Hello, Kevin. And wow, I'm flattered by that. Thank you very much. And welcome back to all of our listeners. Welcome back to the show. This is my favorite time of the week.
The best.
It's Garden Podcast time. Let's go ahead and get into it. Kevin, how have you been? What's going on with you?
I've been good. I've been a little busy, not to divulge too many secrets, but actually I just got back from a conference filled full of other educators, horticulture teachers I got to meet, agriculture teachers. It was awesome. It was the California Ag in the Classroom event. It was down in Orange County, California. Man, it was the weather down there. Holy moly. It was nice.
Yeah.
It was like 70-something degrees. It was beautiful.
And those are all your people. It's like all Kevin's.
Dude, I was with my folks. I got to give a speech about how to start a school garden and then how to garden and grow in your class without a garden. It was so much fun. Met so many incredible people. Passed out some podcast cards.
Oh, there we go.
You know it. But amazing group of people down there. Such a wonderful time. But you know what? Then I came home and I realized I've got some good news and bad news, Austin. Which one do you want first?
Well, I think I always take the good news first.
Good. There you go. Good news is the twins, the 6-month-olds, they're crawling. So good news, they're crawling. Bad news, they're crawling. So now they're everywhere. It's making my life a nightmare in a great way. But I love it. So it's just so gnarly. We'll have to have you over, man.
It's a new challenge.
They went from 0 to 60 in like a day.
Wow.
It was gnarly.
They're zooming around.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's
hey,
like
I
little
really
go-karts
like the
in there.
photo that you sent, too, of all 3 of the boys. That was really cute.
Oh, yeah. They're handsome little devils.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
they take after their papa.
I don't know. We'll see. Well, if we can find him, we'll find out. But let's get into it.
Yeah.
Amazing guests this week. I was going to tell you, I've had so much fun these past few weeks with our in-studio guests.
Yep.
It's like kind of really cool to be in person. I don't mind Zooming. I've kind of learned to love it because we get to talk with people that are pretty far off and we'd never get a chance to meet otherwise. But it's like when we can have people face-to-face, that's awesome. But you know what I really love is when we're face-to-face and we're on location. In their garden with them in their realm. And this week we got just that. I finally got my wish was made true. We met up with Michelle, the Marigold Kwek of Twin Lakes Food Bank Garden of Twin Lakes Food Bank out there in Folsom, California. And just an awesome time. I know you enjoyed yourself.
Oh,
I loved it.
Totally agree. I love getting out there and meeting the people, getting the hands dirty. And I guess you're right. It has been a little bit, so we were due. And what better place to go than this garden? It was beautiful. I mean, it was just one of those moments, right, where everything was just kind of, it all just fell into place. The sun was like, it was golden hour.
Yeah.
It was, we were surrounded by all these birds that were just constantly moving around. I saw some hummingbirds, and just the garden itself was spectacular.
And for a garden, right now it's beginning of October. You would think a garden in transition, it's not going to look so wonderful.
Not the case.
It looked pretty decent.
It was gorgeous. It was neat and orderly.
Half the beds were still thriving, looking pretty good. Some had some holdovers from the summer. But then you could see some of the cool season plants were already in. The lettuce there, oh my God, her lettuce looked really good. I remembered the name. It was the Salanova butter lettuce. There was a green and a red. I nipped the tip,
Did
Austin.
you taste some?
Just a little bit.
Tasted good?
Dude, it tastes like sweet silk.
Ooh.
The texture just is so delicate, and the flavor is, so just I mean, juicy. I mean, if a lettuce can be juicy and not bitter and just it was all those things. Great.
Nice.
I loved it, and just a beautiful garden, a lovely time. We had that little beautiful flower arrangement there with the zinnias and the basil.
Yep.
It was a good backdrop for a great conversation. So I'm really looking forward to sharing
and when
Michelle
we were there,
with the folks.
Yeah, we had a great interview with Michelle, who's running that garden, and she gave us some great stuff to think about. So I'm excited to share the interview. And then I even have a couple little shots if you want to see what this place looks like. Of course, go to their website, go there, volunteer, donate, get involved with them if you want. But I made a little promo video too to promote this podcast episode. And in that, you can see Michelle in the garden a little bit. So if you want to see that, check that out. But let's go ahead and just jump into the interview. I'm excited to share this. We went out there to Folsom and met Michelle Kwek at the Twin Lakes Food Bank. Let's get into the interview. Here we go.
My name is Michelle Kwek here at the Twin Lakes Food Bank Garden, which is a garden where we grow year-round produce that we bring directly over to the food bank. The need is growing every day for people that need access to food, and so we are here to help provide that.
Well, Michelle, please enlighten me for them and for anyone else. What exactly is a food bank, and can I invest?
Happily, yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So the food bank here, our model is what we call client choice. So we're set up basically like a grocery store, and our guests come through and they're able to choose the foods that they want and need. And so a big part of that is actually fresh produce. So we're doing our best to provide them the most nutritious food we can.
Who's actually benefiting from this food bank? Who's visiting you, and who's actually going to take home some of that delicious food?
Yeah, so we're here in Folsom. We serve Folsom, El Dorado Hills, and Granite Bay. And it really varies. The families, we have individuals, we have families, senior citizens. Actually, we're seeing a lot of younger people too, so college students. Just a range of people that you may not even think of could be your next door neighbor.
How would they get started? If I live in your community and I'm like, man, I'm really struggling, I'm in need, I would love access to some good food right now.
Yeah.
How would someone get in touch with you or their local food bank?
Yeah, they can check our food bank, twinlakesfoodbank.org has our resources on it, and it will tell you we're open, our distribution hours. All you need to do is proof of identification and address. We do also serve the homeless population, so address is not always required. But yeah, we're here and ready to serve the people.
Well, I'm glad you're here and doing that. I'm really excited to talk about your garden here. How was your harvest this last summer? I know it was extremely toasty. But you got a beautiful garden here. I mean, can you describe a little bit to our listeners?
Sure. Yeah, we're on about just under a quarter acre of land. We're in partnership with a church, that Mount Olive Lutheran Church, that is so gracious to share this space with us. And we have about 60 raised beds, dozens of fruit trees, a pollinator patch, composting area where we generate all our own compost. That's actually a big part of what we do here too. Our summer was hot, as people in this area know, but the garden actually thrived. So I attribute that to our soil, taking care of our soil, and really just having all my awesome volunteers here who helped keep it going all summer.
And even here, it's late in the season. I mean, we're early October. It actually doesn't look half bad. I can see some of the holdovers from the summer, like the basil and whatnot, and some eggplant. But you even have chard in there already. I'm seeing your brassicas taking form.
Yeah,
it's really off and running already.
Yeah. It's been a little bit. We've been babying them a little bit these last couple weeks with this.
Extended
summer.
Yeah.
But they are holding up pretty well, and I think hopefully we're through the worst, and so hopefully we should have a really nice fall and winter garden as well.
Awesome. What kind of, like this summer, like when you were harvesting, what were some of the fresh crops that people were actually going to take away from the food bank?
So lots of tomatoes, lots of summer squash. Our butternuts were awesome this year. I actually still have a whole stockpile in the
They
shed.
store nice.
They store really nice. So we are still bringing those over to kind of fill the gaps between the summer and winter garden. Yeah, lots of basil. The basil actually is still.
The basil's crazy.
The basil's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. Even still, it looks fantastic. Like I want to go out there and harvest myself.
Yeah.
It looks. How do you actually? Are you feeding this garden? Because you talked about the compost. I can see you're actually using a lot of straw mulch. I love that.
Yes.
And in the beds, they look like really beautiful. Like there's not an abundance of weeds. There's an abundance of green. It looks incredible.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely a lot of people power for one that come out here and make it happen. I have a lot of great volunteers who are out here helping to spread that compost, turn the compost. Yeah, I would say the people and then our compost are kind of like our key to having those healthy plants.
What, in a 60-second, what's your crash course on compost for someone? What have you learned that works well?
Yeah, so I would say crash course. There's kind of two different ways. The way we do it here at the food bank garden, we actually compost from across spoilage from the grocery stores.
Oh, nice.
So we can get it really hot. So our keys there are your green matter, which is your, all the spoiled produce. We have your brown, which is leaves that we collect from community members throughout the season. That combined with water and air, we're turning it about once a week. And then in usually about 3 to 4 months, we have a finished product.
That's
and
the best.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple and it works.
It is, and it works. Now at home, my composting is a lot slower. It's more of a cold compost because I don't generate. I don't have
in.
Yeah, so I just that's a good thing for people to remember. That may take a little bit of extra time in their home gardens.
Yeah, it's about momentum. Just build that positive momentum. I love it. And as you're telling me all this, I'm looking up and I'm staring at your garden. But to look at it, I have to look through your pollinator garden. So I'm noticing insects and hummingbirds coming in and enjoying themselves on the different treats out there. Can you talk about that at all and what the importance is?
Yeah, we also really value biodiversity here in the garden. So anything we can do to attract the birds, the bees, all the pollinators, to really just kind of create a whole balanced ecosystem here in the garden is kind of what we're trying to do. So the more life, the better, I think. And so it's really fun to see everything that's coming in to visit our flowers. We do also grow flowers for, we make bouquets for our food bank guests, and that's a big hit for people that, just need a little brightness in their day.
Well, yeah, flower feeds the stomach, food feeds the stomach, and then the flowers feed the soul.
Yeah,
for sure. You're feeding both.
Yeah.
And I love it. I can see that there's there's plants and flowering plants dotted all along the perimeter, but your main pollinator garden is right, basically in the center of your space.
Yeah.
It's rocking. And I see that you got it certified, or you have a plaque out. What is that?
Yeah. So it's a certified wildlife habitat through the National Wildlife Federation. And that was something that it's actually something anyone on any property, any home garden can do. Go online, find the checklist, and it's just saying that you are committed to, welcoming wildlife into your space. Growing without chemicals or pesticides.
You're here.
Yeah, so that's been a fun thing to have to be able to tell people about.
Yeah, it's great, and it just draws your attention right to it. So what was that website again? And we'd love to send people there.
That's National Wildlife Federation, NWF.org.
All right, I'm going to stop the interview just for a second. I'm going to interrupt here. Kevin, I want to just kind of shine a light on this really cool certification, this sign that Michelle has in her garden that certifies it as a wildlife habitat. And I just think it is so cool. Have you seen signs like this before?
I've seen them before. I was given one by the California Native Plant Society years ago for this native garden at our school. And it was like a, pollinators, native garden here. And I loved it. It kind of just felt good having it.
Yeah.
But so it's really cool to see these out in the wild. And I think for some gardeners, it's just like a little feather in their cap, but it's also just a way to be mindful of what you're putting in your garden. And
Right.
I think can we talk a little bit about what are some of the limitations or the to get that certification?
Yeah, so
requirements, I should say.
It led me to find out more about it. Yeah, so there's a website. I'm going to link in the episode description. Check that out. It's also, you can just search for it. It's the National Wildlife Federation's website, nwf.org. And on there, right on the homepage, you can find this. But I'll give you a link. And there's a page here where you can certify your yard, your garden, whatever you have, as a habitat that helps wildlife. And there's a few key things that you need to qualify. One of those is that you have to have native plants that provide food for wildlife. You need to have water, because all these creatures need water too. You need cover so that they can shelter. There needs to be areas for them to raise their young. And you have to practice sustainable gardening practices in your yard. And those are all things that we're talking about all the time. So I feel like a lot of our listeners would probably qualify for this. And you just have to fill out this little form. And there is a $20 application fee, but I think it's worth it just to get more awareness out there.
I think it's fun to consider. Just if only... just to do those things in your garden at the very least, like, hey, I'm doing some of those things. Whether or not you get that signed, it's kind of nice to do the practices and have a landscape that does nourish the wildlife around you, big and small. What you can't, depending upon your garden. I noticed at her garden, they had to have quite a large fence around it to keep out the largest of animals, the deer.
Yeah.
But they had so many flowers for the pollinators and space for the birds. It was really cool. And I think it's just, like I said, a little feather in her cap to have that, and it kind of just they have a lot of volunteers and people that are like come visit just like us, and so I think it's something
they get to see that.
Where they see that, they go, okay, they're being mindful and very demure in their in their landscape, but no, they're being mindful and they're it just lets people know it's like a beacon. And as far as like someone doing it in say your front yard or things like that, maybe it's a way to make friends in your community to kind of as a signal to other people, go, hey, I'm into gardening and the wildlife. I love it. And I'm trying to be, like I said, mindful about it. So I think there may be some benefits
Green
to
thumb
that
alert.
about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Signal.
Well, I thought that was just such a cool thing. I think everyone should check it out and maybe get a sign for your yard. So go ahead and check out that link in the episode description. Let's go ahead and jump back into the interview. Here we go.
Are there any crops you're looking forward to putting in this fall and winter?
Yeah, so we've got actually some beautiful lettuces out already.
I saw those. I was like, wow, her lettuce looks really good, Austin.
Salanovas, the Salanova butter lettuces.
Yeah, delicious.
Yes, yeah, and beautiful. So those are always a hit. We have some Nozaki cabbage, which is a Chinese cabbage, and it was something we grew last year. It did really well. We actually were able to save the seed from that, and we replanted it. It actually took off the bed that it was in, kind of sowed itself this summer, and so we had an early crop of it, and we're going to plant more for the winter. So
awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Now I see you have a heavy use of straw mulch all over your beds. It looks great, actually. Like I said, the weed pressure looks very much reduced. I'm sure you're probably to work on it by hand too.
Yeah.
But for people that are listening, it's like how important has that been to for you to utilize the mulch at the top of your soil, even with the vegetable beds here? Because I think people think, oh, mulch, that's for our landscapes. It's not really so much for our garden beds. But out here, you've got the straw mulch pretty much everywhere, and it's looking like it's actually working. So what are your thoughts?
It is, yeah. I love the straw mulch. For multiple, we try to use it year round. So in the summer, it's obviously, it's helping suppress the weeds, but also keeping the moisture in. It's really...
so that soil's not just cooking.
Right, yeah. And then over time, it's breaking down and adding organic matter to the soil. And then in the winter, it's great too. If we get a big downpour, we don't have soil spraying out everywhere. It's staying where it is, staying in place, which helps reduce different diseases in the winter garden, keeping that
get launched up.
Yeah.
So, it looks great.
Yeah,
it's
thank
really.
you.
I think sometimes you'll see gardens like this where there's a lot of raised beds and the weeds kind of like they like to hide in the cracks and get in there, and if you're not on top of it, it can get out of hand. But this, I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah. It truly is.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of people who out here and make it beautiful. So it's really got to give a shout out to all my volunteers.
So Michelle, if somebody's listening right now and they want to get involved or offer some support to Twin Lakes Food Bank and the garden here, how can they do that?
Yes, there's a few ways that people can help if they're looking to support the garden or the food bank. One, right now, going into fall and winter, is we would love to have your leaves. So if you live locally in Folsom, we stockpile leaves all fall and winter to incorporate into our compost. We have some leaf bins right outside the garden that people can pull up and drop off their leaves. So we would happily take those off your hands. Also, homegrown produce. People are surprised to hear that you can donate your own homegrown produce to the food bank. So if you have an abundance of something in your own garden, we are happy to take that and share it with our our food bank guests. They really do love the fresh produce. So.
I think there's a lot of gardeners out there that are growing and they have sometimes a little too much success in a good way. And so it'd be nice to be able to kind of offload that in a direction where it'll be appreciated.
Yes, yeah. And then of course, just financially, if people are able to donate, that's really what keeps the doors open at the food bank and allows this garden to keep going. So we have our big annual fundraiser coming up, our gala. It is November 8th, a Friday, and it's a really fun event.
Get your tickets now.
Get your tickets now. It's a really fun live auction and dinner, really great community building event where people come together and give back.
That's fantastic. So you guys put in so much effort out here. Have you seen your effort make an impact in this community at all?
Yeah, I think we're a great model for what people can do in any sort of space. We actually just had someone reach out to us, a woman who works at a low-income apartment complex here in Folsom, and she has a group of residents, and they are getting together and starting a garden at their apartment complex.
Love that. Oh, so that's exciting.
They're going to come for a tour and see what we do here and hopefully go replicate something like that in their space.
Do you think other places that are like the churches, community areas, public space like this, can create gardens like yours here that have similar success?
Absolutely. I think people want to get involved. I actually have so many volunteers right now that I would love to have more opportunities for them. So people want to get out and do this type of work, and to be able to do that in little pockets of neighborhoods, just to support more of a local, more resilient food system,
for
really, just caring for our neighbors.
Absolutely. Well, Michelle, I gotta say, I'm totally impressed with your operation here. It's beautiful, it's abundant, and the fact that it's going to such wonderful people who need it. It's my straw hat, I tip to thee. So thank you so much for bringing us out here and making time for us.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the chance to tell the story of the garden here, and so glad you could come see it.
All right, we are back from our interview with Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I had such a blast meeting you and being there. Thank you for having us. Kevin, I want to go to you. What did you think? What were your favorite parts of being there?
I was so impressed by the work they've done out there. Michelle was, very soft-spoken, very humble in what they've achieved out there. And I know there's a lot of effort and work that goes into working a garden of that size with all the volunteers and coordinating. I know there's a lot of sweat, blood, and tears has been poured that, but you wouldn't know it by talking with her because she was so down to earth and humble.
Yeah.
So my straw hat is off to them. I love the work they're doing. They are growing food and getting it right into the hands of people, onto the plates of the folks. So I love it. I'm already sold. I think it's great what they're doing out there, and I was really just impressed by the success of that garden and just the practices that they're employing. It's all the stuff we talk about. I mean, she was very happy to show off her compost and how important that is. So they're feeding the compost from the garden back to the garden, and actually getting compost from the community and utilizing that organic matter to create an abundance of so it's the compost as usual, soil building, and they protect the soil. You noticed all that, every single bed out there, none of it was bare naked. It was all covered up, very, what do they call that? Modest.
Sure.
The garden beds were modest. They were covered up. No, so the garden beds were kept covered. They protect that soil. They used a lot of straw mulch, it looked like, and the weed pressure was down. The plants looked healthy. And I really loved when we talked about pest control and their low effort approach to, we spray it off once or twice. If we can't get it in check, we'll just dig up that little plant and pull it out and start fresh. So I like that low effort kind of no spray even. It can be great. We talk about organic all the time, but no spray it's an approach. It has its own benefits as well. So especially when you have that little native garden and the pollinator garden kind of tucked in there, I could see why they'd want to do that. The drip systems, obviously, and they use a lot of raised beds out there. Loved it. The soil, beautiful, and the drip systems seemed to keep those plants well watered. They all looked healthy, and the drip systems, we should show some pictures of them. I mean, hopefully, I think I have a few on my camera. We'll post them to the Facebook.
Okay.
Really simple.
Yeah.
And you just see them. They're linear. They're just tubes. It's geometric. It's very simple. There's a water source. Boom. They run out and run. And then just little drops go down. It's like, man, so easy. You're not hand watering, or it's like you run into issues when you're trying to like hand water or even use sprays. Just the drip system I thought was perfect for their situation. And ultimately, they're out there doing just amazing work. I mean, like they're growing food. They've got these volunteers coming in, and it's like I'm sure that they get a lot of joy and satisfaction out of that. The food bank, and you can look on their website, but it's like, they have a report from the year before, and it's like thousands, over 500,000 meals served.
Oh, wow.
Thousands of those are children. So thousands of those are people that are senior aged. I think it was like 30-something different thousand individuals served. So pretty incredible. There's a huge need out there, I think, for people to get their hands on some delicious food, some fresh food. And food banks do an amazing job of bringing food to people, and it's pretty cool when they can not just provide all the hard goods and the canned food, but really offer up fresh fruit and veg, seasonal, local, organic.
That's awesome.
It's pretty incredible, and so I love the work they're doing. I mean, come on, you can't get more excited about that. And what's cool is if we have listeners who are in that area, you can reach out to them at twinlakesfoodbank.org. I know they got a lot going on that you want to share.
Oh, well, there's that gala that Michelle mentioned.
Yeah.
So I just want to, of course, go to their website, contact them, go there, get involved if you want to help out. But this gala seems like the way to go too. So that's coming up on Friday, November 8th. And you can buy tickets on their website, and you can find the link to that in the episode description. So look for that there. And just such a good time this week. I'm excited for things on the horizon as well.
You know it.
I'm putting out your garlic video.
Cannot
right
wait.
after this episode.
That's going to be so much fun. We were down in Austin's garden spot planting some garlic for a how-to, and it's as simple as 2, 4, 6.
Oh man, you did a great job. You're talking about spacing.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah. So look out for that. But other than that, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Kevin, go ahead and take us out.
Another amazing week, meeting another wonderful garden friend. And if you aren't near the Twin Lakes Food Bank, reach out to one that's local to you and see maybe how you can help or support.
Yeah.
You never know. The sky's the limit. We need more gardens and places and people like Michelle and folks like the folks at Twin Lakes Food Bank. So hats off to you. Good luck. And until next week, garden friends, happy gardening to you all. And please, never stop growing.